What's going on, party people? Welcome to episode 34 of the Culture 316 podcast. I'm one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Nahisi.
Join with your co-host, Mo. What is up, people?
Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning into this podcast. If you are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, anywhere where podcasts can be streamed, be sure to give the show a 5 stars because that is how we go up in the ratings. And obviously, we wouldn't be here because without you guys' support. Obviously, if you're on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We have a very, very loaded show with a lot of topics. So we're not even going to waste any time and we're going to get right into it. So on Tuesday evening, obviously this is probably one of the biggest news coming from the wrestling community over the past, I would say one of the biggest topics that have come from the wrestling community over the past week or so. On this past Tuesday morning, evening, afternoon, during the day, whatever, it was announced that the Bella Twins have departed from WWE. Not only that, but they are now being rebranded as the Garcia Twins. Obviously, the women's wrestling community had a very, very mixed bag of reactions with women like Saraya coming out and welcoming them to freedom. Also, it is important to note that they now have a new show on Sirius XM. I believe it's called the Nikki and Bree Show or the Bree and Nikki Show. And they also have a show on Amazon, a love-centric dating show on Amazon Prime Studios. But obviously, the Bella Twins have been a mainstay of WWE for the better part of a decade plus. Most notably known as in the Divas era, kind of were the people who served as foil to the women's revolution. Um, but obviously, when I saw this, I thought about you, Mo. So I wanted to know what some of your thoughts were on their WWE departure. Um, and just your impressions on kind of the everything that they've kind of like been experiencing over the past couple weeks.
I can't really curse, so I'm gonna try my hardest so we don't get flagged. Uh, no, it's just I don't like the Bella Twins. They come off to me as very entitled. They're privileged. They're very phony, and I think their timing with this is so questionable because everyone wants to side with them about their abuse in WWE and how they were mishandled. But to me, I feel like they were given everything for doing the bare minimum. Like I feel like if they weren't twins, there's like no investment in them. They aren't a good promo. They aren't very good wrestlers. One's slightly better than the other. I'll give them that. But like they weren't, like I said many times before on this podcast, they weren't relevant until they started sleeping with a certain type of person, the bigger names. And then all these deals started coming in and they were able to step over other females that were there longer, putting in more work than them. And like I said, they got TV shows, sponsorships from WWE. Like again, we had Total Divas, we had Total Bellas. Like Nikki Bella, I think has the longest Divas title reign and whatnot. And even after WWE, they are still like making features and coming back. I mean, we had a little mini run with Brie. They came back for Evolution. They came back for whenever as many Royal Rumbles as they were invited to, they came in. And I just find it so weird with the timing that now all of a sudden that they don't fuck with WWE. Like it'd be one thing if they just, as soon as they stop wrestling, they just didn't fuck with WWE. But it's just the simple fact that this stuff with Vince happens. And a lot of people forget that, I mean, like their stepfather's John Laurinaitis, like their mom's was banging him, I feel like as soon as this shit came out with Vince and the whole sexual allegations and John Laurinaitis' name being tied to it, it's just, there was a weird shift with them. Like, y'all was just there at the 2022 Royal Rumble, and now all of a sudden you want to come out on a podcast and you want to slander WWE for how they did this and how they did that and whatnot. And people want to say, well, they're protecting their bag. They're protecting their bag. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Y'all don't got to do that because y'all aren't broke. You guys aren't struggling. You guys are established names, like in and out of WWE. And you use WWE's names to get all of these, all this stuff that you that you guys proudly commend them for and applaud them for, and you guys talk about how much you guys love being trailblazers, quote unquote, even though I don't agree with that, for like the women's revolution and all this other stuff. It's weird because like you guys will say that you love WWE and like you're so happy where you came from because without them you wouldn't have all these great things. But then you turn the cheek in a within a year because the Vince allegations hasn't even hit a year yet. That happened back in May.
Mm.
Now we're like coming back and out of the blue, you guys just hate them. You guys are going on a smear campaign. You hate Vince. You hate the WWE. You're calling them out for things that they did to you that you guys thought was an incongruence. I don't know. To me, it just comes off opportunistic. I think that they are entitled. I think that to be perfectly honest, like when I saw that they changed their names and they're trying to rebrand themselves or whatever, it was just a big eye roll to me. I'm just like, without these people pushing y'all, you guys wouldn't be anything. You wouldn't. You wouldn't. No one was checking for the Bella Twins when they first debuted. Nobody was. That Twin Magic thing went dry within a few months because they have no pizzazz to them. But they got that push, and that's why they are who they are. But now you want to slander them. It's just to me, it's weird. It kind of like, and I want to just bring this up while we're here because I can't remember if it's in our notes or not. But the whole thing with John Cena, where he commented on the Vince situation or whatnot, and people were slandering him for it, but he gave a very PR answer, even though he knows damn well what he did was fucked up. John knows damn well that Vince gave him everything. Like, he is who he is right now because of this man. Now, I definitely would have just like plead the fifth and not said shit if I were John. I wouldn't have been commented. I would not have gave that bullshit statement about, oh, we all make mistakes. But he's in another light. He's like, all right, this old man, as demented and screwed up as he is, gave me the lifestyle I'm living today. He's the reason why I'm able to like extend myself from WWE and go produce movies and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not saying by any means sweep underneath the rug what he did, but I'm saying they had it a lot better than a lot of other females.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it was any other female from the Divas era that was slandering WWE about this, I would totally get it because they did get the short end of the stick.
Mm-hmm.
They did the entire time. But out of like as screwed up as the Divas Revolution was, sorry, not the Revolution, Divas era was, the Bella Twins got everything, like everything and then some. So I don't understand how people said that they were properly misused or they were abused or to me it's not adding up. It's coming off just like again with the timing that I don't know. It just comes off like they're just opportunists the entire time. So I don't feel sorry for them. I don't have any like pity for them. I mean, their fans are going to support them regardless. I see, but to me, I just think like it's corny. The whole behavior is corny. They could have rebranded themselves without going on the whole slander fest and just like did that. I wouldn't care. I don't care that they rebrand themselves, bro. I just don't. I just think the whole setup is just like it's just corny. It's just corny to me. But I would love to hear what's your take on this because apparently Jordan thinks he's gonna change my mind about the Bella Twins, and I don't think it's gonna happen. But by all means, go.
Oh, I don't think this is gonna change your mind about the Bella Twins
Good.
because I do agree in the sense that it is weird with the timing, with the kind of like based on the fact that they had a lot of opportunities in WWE, and they had a lot of opportunities in the ring. They had a lot of opportunities outside of the ring, and seeing how all this is coming out after, first of all, John Laurinaitis was indefinitely suspended, and Vince McMahon had the sexual assault allegations put against him. I think that it is very weird timing. However, I think that this is very, very important to note that promotion in the workplace or opportunity in the workplace, it doesn't negate abuse. I don't know what happened between the Bella Twins and WWE or what happened backstage.
You're cutting out on my end, and I do not hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Now you're coming back.
All right. So
Yeah, I can.
I was saying promotion or opportunity in the workplace does not negate abuse. I know a lot of women who have been in workplaces where they have been promoted and have been upheld, but they have also suffered neglect or abuse in some way that the world doesn't know. And a lot of times, a lot of women are afraid to speak up. A lot of times, a lot of women don't feel comfortable with talking about the environment that they're in because the people who were abusers are still in that environment. And I'm not saying that that's the Bella Twins, but I'm saying that that is a possibility. There were certain things about this rebrand that were very, very interesting, though, without saying too much. Like going from the Bella twins, 'cause I mean, I never knew their real names. So going from the word Bella to the word Garcia shows me and kind of confirms to me that during the Divas era, a lot of your success was based on your proximity to whiteness. As we all know, right? Like Garcia's a beautiful last name. And I don't think that I would have had necessarily a problem with it, but but it does go to show you that there was an environment in pro wrestling, and this is not just a WWE issue. There was an environment in pro wrestling that condoned and promoted people to be as close to people being as close to whiteness as they possibly can, whether it was women of color just straightening their hair or people dropping their real last names to take on something that was more palatable. I think it's very, 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 very telling of the environment that pro wrestling was in years ago versus where it is now, right? Um, I think that you're right when you say WWE kind of gave them all these opportunities, right? But I feel like WWE has always served as a launching pad for people who have been, you know, people who have been media friendly or TV friendly stars, whether that be John Cena, whether that be The Rock, whether that be Roman Reigns, whether that be Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks. Um, WWE has always served as a launch pad to opportunities. And I feel like, yes, they were, opportunities were kind of placed in their lap. But the fact that beyond WWE that they're getting stuff should be a testament to at least the results they yield. Because I know that if I'm a media exec, right, and I'm sitting on top of Amazon or I'm sitting on top of a Sirius XM, if you get put on TV but you're not bringing in ratings, I'm not giving you a show. You know what I mean? If I'm not gonna
Yeah.
sit up here and give you a show if you're not. I don't care how pretty you look. I don't care what ring you was in. If you're not yielding the results, I'm not giving you an opportunity. And to me, regardless of how they got it, because it's so funny. There was a comedian that said this. It was like men get mad at women all the time for using their looks to get ahead, as if it's not men letting women get ahead by using their looks. Like it's men. It's men. It's men letting women, allowing women. It's men. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what sexual advances anyone is trying to make if someone says no. But to me, it's not
That's true.
necessarily. To me, it's not necessarily about what they did or what they didn't do to get the opportunities that they got, because ultimately we don't know what they did to get where they got. You know what I mean? Obviously, we can speculate. We can talk about who
I
they
know.
dated. We can talk about who they
Yeah.
dated and da 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 da. But ultimately, like, well, I can speak for myself. I don't know, but like it it's up to you to take the advantage the opportunities that are placed in your lap and to make something with it. And the Garcias have done it, and we can see the results of that because you don't get a show unless you get good ratings, unless you have some type of interest. You don't get a podcast by a major media outlet unless they know the type of results that you can bring in and that you can yield in. And so I think that we'll see how this continues to sustain itself. But I do agree with you in the sense that I believe that once the whole Vince McMahon sexual allegations came out, once the John Laurinaitis was indefinitely suspended from WWE, I think that that was the trigger for them to really let loose on how they really felt. You know what I'm saying? Because now both of those people are presumably not in the workplace. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I think that's just like my little take on it. But we want to hear what you guys have to think about the Bella twins, being the Garcia twins and their departure from WWE, and them taking on these new ventures as far as their show on Amazon Prime and their podcast, the Nikki and Bree Show, or the Bree and Nikki Show on Sirius XM. But we are moving on to some non WWE related news. Okay, so this past week, shortly before AEW Dynamite, All Elite Wrestling announced a 6-show Canadian tour, starting with the second annual Forbidden Door, which will take place in Toronto, Canada, at the Scotiabank Arena on June 25th. Obviously, this is a mega show where New Japan's best talent and All Elite Wrestling's best talent collide in the ring. But the show will also be followed up by 5 additional dates, which range from live episodes of Dynamite and Rampage to a special edition of House Rules. Now, if you want to find out more details about where all these events will be, just go to allelitewrestling.com. But I just wanted to know, what were your impressions on the announcement of Forbidden Door and to AEW's Summer Canadian Tour?
That's pretty awesome, to be honest, and I would hope that Chris Jericho is steering it.
Yeah,
Like that makes sense why they keep having him on TV. Like it's actually pretty cool. Yeah, no, I mean, I love the Canada crowd. It's pretty awesome. I wonder if Bret Hart's gonna make an appearance again because he was there in the beginning.
he was. I wouldn't be
That'd
surprised.
be great if they throw him in there for the tour. But I mean, that's great for AEW. I mean, they're expanding pretty fast, for them to already jump out to another country, even though it's still within North America. That's
Mhm.
pretty awesome. And when you say sorry, when you mentioned the Forbidden Door, um, what is did they mention who did that entail? Is that just Impact in like
No, no,
New
no.
Japan, or
It's
could
New.
this be anyone?
It's New Japan and AEW. So it's just New
Okay,
Japan and
New Japan.
AEW. So, oh
Oh,
yeah,
wait, so I could possibly see Mercedes, is what you're saying. Oh! Oh! Sorry, now I'm excited. Now I'm really excited. No, because if I could get Jade and Mercedes, my life will be made. My life will be made. But I also do miss seeing Kyrie. And bruh, like I want to see Jay White make an appearance.
hmm,
I do want to see Jay White make fucking appearance. I would love. I know Kota Ibushi's not like fucking with New Japan right now, but if I could just see him show up, that'd be fucking great. But yeah, no, I love this. I love all of this. That's actually pretty great. I think Canada's a great crowd. Like they give the most fun reactions, in my personal opinion, when it comes to like wrestling shows being hosted in Canada. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So what do you think?
I think it's great. Like you said, it's a testament to their global expansion and that they're expanding really, really rapidly. It's also a
Hmm.
testament to how successful that they've been in Canada thus far. As you know, I think they had an episode of Dynamite or Rampage in Toronto at the Coca-Cola Coliseum, and I think they sold out in like 48 minutes. So I think that
Damn.
once they did that, I think that there was just like, yeah, we're gonna run this back. And we talk about the
Mm.
states all the time, and we talk about the states, and we even talk about other countries all the time when we talk about WWE shows. But you also got to think Canada also not breaches, but reaches into international territory, and they kind of have the same ordeal as like other countries are concerned, whereas like, as it pertains to like them not getting WWE shows or them not getting AEW shows at the same rate as the states get them, because both promotions are based in the states. And so I think this is just a really, really exciting time for them, having this 6-show Canadian tour. I would love to see Bret Hart. As far as Forbidden Door, the streets are saying Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Moné. And I would not be opposed to that either, because they're both the respective world champions of their brand. But we'll see what happens. But I do love this. I think that this is a testament to AEW and how quickly they are expanding, and how popular that they've become. Obviously, they are a fan favorite, cult, kind of like this cult kind of like vibe to it, in the sense of like the loyalty that the fans give to the brand. And I think it's just a great time for AEW fans in the States and abroad. But speaking of AEW expansion, it looks like let me just make sure I get to my notes. All right, here we go. It looks like that's not all the expansion news for AEW, because it looks like All Elite Wrestling is getting some more screen time. According to the Wrestling Observer, Warner Brothers Discovery is currently in talks to add an additional hour of in-ring wrestling to All Elite Wrestling's portfolio. Rumors have begun to circulate that it will follow a similar style to WCW's Saturday Night show that they used to have, as the company will do an hour of in studio wrestling. I wanted to know what your impression was on AEW possibly getting another hour on TV.
I don't I don't know. I feel like wrestling. is perfect when it's at 2 hours because
Mm,
it's not too much and it's not too little. But my thing with AEW is that when it comes to their show right now at 2 hours, I personally only pay attention to like a good 45 minutes of it that I feel like I'm actually enjoying.
right.
So if they give me that third hour, I mean, I don't know, I feel like 3 hours is too much. Like the average person that has a life doesn't want to sit there and watch that much wrestling. I think that's what made Raw like lose a bit of its like flavor because it's just so much time and a whole lot of nothing. And I feel like within 2 hours, like I said, just 45 minutes to me is watchable of AEW on like an average night. They have like some days. Yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I don't think that they're trying to add an hour to Dynamite. I think it's just like a separate show. Like they want to add like a separate show that's an hour. So it wouldn't be like
I just
Dynamite is
still
a
feel like that's a lot of wrestling,
mm,
regardless, though. Like, because think about it. We got to get through Raw, get through SmackDown. There's some people that watch Impact that are insane. And then there's people that watch 2 hours of AEW and 1 hour of Rampage. Just another hour of wrestling? Do we need that while the sun is coming out and it's getting hot and people don't want to be home?
that's very true.
I'm just saying, to me, that's not. I personally wouldn't make that decision, but I mean, I'm down for them trying new things and expanding their business. I mean, they're still fairly new. They're still going to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. So I'm a little against it because I mean, it sounds cool, but it's just like how realistically, who's going to watch it? Because y'all can't even get people to watch your 1 hour show. I forget that it's on every single week.
Mm,
Now you expect people to invest in another extra hour of something pertaining to your show. And plus, they have Dark. I forget that they have AEW Dark.
mm-hmm.
And people don't even tune into that either. So it's just like, I don't know. It's what is the investment return on this if you guys put in another hour? What do you think?
So here's my thing because I'm surprised that you said it from that perspective. I thought you were going to talk about like from storyline perspective because I remember that's
No.
something that you were very much not against, but like you've been critical of as far as like how like the stories aren't as like cohesive or whatever the case may be. I feel like that's starting to get a lot better. Um and that was proven by the closing shot of this week's Dynamite. This long form storytelling is like wrapping up and like coming together beautifully. But here's what I will say about it. Is it a lot of wrestling? Absolutely. But I think that if there's anything that these last 3 to 4 years have proven to us, it's a lot. Here's what I say. It's a lot of wrestling for a wrestling fan. It's not a lot of wrestling for an AEW fan. And there's a difference. For someone
Hmm.
who's trying to consume all of the wrestling, it's a lot because you have Dark, Elevation, then you have Raw, then you have NXT on Tuesday, then you have I think yeah, you have NXT on Tuesday, then you have Dark Dynamite, then you have Impact, now you also have Ring of Honor, and then now you have SmackDown, and then in addition to that, there's Rampage. But if you're looking at it from an AEW programming perspective, that's Dark Elevation, Dynamite, Rampage, and now this little hour.
That's a lot.
That's a lot still, but it's like one of those things where like one of the things that these past 3 years have proven is that there are WWE fans and that there are AEW fans. I believe that AEW is just trying to super serve their niche the way that WWE super serves their niche. It's kind of like the Tyler Perry strategy, the way that Tyler Perry is just constantly putting things out that just talk to his audience. I think that AEW is doing the same thing. And then on top of that, I also feel as if um, I am not against them having another hour of television because another
Hmm.
hour of television means more money. That means more people get paid. And that means that more people have a job in wrestling because, like, as we've seen, not everybody fits in WWE, but also not everybody fits in AEW. But I feel like with the more programming that you have, there is more money involved. And when there's more money involved, people get paid. And I'm
That's
always
true.
for seeing people get paid. Now, I do believe that as this continues to evolve, because I know that Tony Khan is the head of creative at AEW, I would love to see him um, have like another, maybe like a partner as far as like a head of creative. because I feel like one person taking on all of this can be a lot and overwhelming, and I don't want him to get like super stressed out and crash, and the next thing you know, the product suffers of it. Um, but I think that as this AEW product begins or keeps continuing to blossom, I think that I'm very, very interested in seeing more creative heads. I already know that like Chris Jericho produces like a lot of backstage segments. I think that that's great. I know that there's producers for matches and stuff like that. I think that that's great. But I would love to see, more load sharing, as they add more television time. So that's my only thing. But yeah, I'm eager to see how this all turns out. But I want to know how everybody else feels. How do you feel about an additional hour of in ring programming to AEW television? Now, when, while live events and programming for AEW are taking a sharp upward trajectory, it looks as if another wrench has been thrown into the video game development process of AEW's Fight Forever because it's been delayed once again. Rumors speculate that AEW and GCW are in a legal standoff for the term, quote, fight forever, as GCW is inquiring about if they can use the term for charity based wrestling events. Now, do you think that this slows down the momentum for the game? Does this dim your excitement for the game?
It's just so funny to me. I can't take this one seriously. Fighting over a chant is really crazy. It's really crazy. Cause I feel like it's universal. You know what I mean? It's kind of like like how many wrestling chants do we have, and you guys are gonna fight over particularly this one? You know, to me, it's silly. Like, just let them have it. Especially because GCW is not like pulling in the same way AEW pulls in. Just let AEW have it.
Mm,
Like, it's so silly. But no, it doesn't change the way that I feel about the game.
mm,
I feel like the game's gonna knock it out the park regardless,
mm.
and I still want to buy it. Are you gonna buy it?
Oh, hell yeah. I am.
Yeah, yeah. Wait. Do they have like an online mode? Did they even mention that?
I have no idea. I don't I
No.
think they have vaguely, but I'm not completely sure. I have to check, but I would assume that they have one.
Okay, yeah, no, because I would love to beat Jordan's ass in some AEW. But yeah, no, as far as
But
the
you
chant
won't.
goes, you don't know me, bitch. Like I've been playing wrestling games since I was like 7.
I'm gonna be Brit.
Okay,
I'm gonna beat you, and I'm gonna use Britt Baker in every
not Britt
match.
Baker, not Britt Baker. If I get my ass beat by Britt Baker, like no, no, no. But
uh,
what is your opinion about this?
I, like you said, very weird. I when they filed the trademark for Fight Forever, I think it was like for the use of a video game or for the use of merchandise. I think it gave whenever you trademark something, it asks for what are going to be the uses of this trademark. So if GCW had a question as to how this trademark was being used, I think that they either should look up the trademark information or, you know, or just ask Tony. Like I don't think it's just like a far fetched to just ask Tony, like, hey, bro, like, can I still? But like I ultimately also think that this is just very petty because Fight Forever has been the name of the game since like last year, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like now all of a sudden when they're about to release the game, all of a sudden now we want to whoa, but wait. It's like, bro, you had all of Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas break to get this addressed, and you didn't. And so why is it an issue now? But as far as like
So petty.
it's super petty. And that's the reason why I'm just like, this is weird. But as far as momentum for the game, I think that it actually increases momentum because anytime there's a legal standoff regarding something, it always brings more attention to it. And so now I think that there's more attention to the game now than it ever has been. And because of
Yeah.
that, I think we're going to get a very, very anticipated game. It doesn't dim my excitement. I'm still very much looking forward to playing AEW Fight Forever. Yeah, and that's just really just like my take on it. Yeah, that's just my take on it. But I want to know what y'all feel about this. So let us know if the GCW AEW standoff has tampered with your personal excitement, or if you think that the the momentum surrounding the game has been slowed down. But we're going to be moving on because apparently Bray Wyatt is now out indefinitely. According to the Wrestling Observer, Bray Wyatt has been scrapped from all potential WrestleMania plans due to creative differences. Other reports have begun to circulate saying that it has been pertaining to a physical ailment that he is experiencing. So I just wanted to know what your stance on the Bray Wyatt absence from WrestleMania is.
Okay, question. Was he responsible for any of the creative decisions that we've been seeing for the last 6 months or
I don't know.
whatever?
I don't know.
It's just, he has the worst return I have seen in quite some time. And I don't personally care that he's not going to be there for WrestleMania because this all has been like a slow build to a whole bunch of nothing.
Mm,
And I don't understand how he even got injured because we have barely seen this man wrestle. So I think that was a bullshit report. But as far as him being upset and that he doesn't want to be part of WrestleMania because of creative differences, I can't imagine him and Triple H bumping heads about what they want to do with the character. Like I don't feel like that's the issue. I feel like they let him come back and let him make his own creative decisions, and whatever vision he had in his head is not quite sticking or is not fitting into the formula what they want to do with the show.
hmm
Um, I'm not sure if that just means that Bray is just out of touch and he kind of just like lost his pizzazz or something. That's personally what I felt as a fan watching him, because I had just like high hopes and expectations with him coming in, and
Right.
he just hasn't delivered anything. Like I said, like I feel like Bray Wyatt is like a Triple H guy. In my head, like I would imagine that would make the most sense because Triple H loves stories and development and stuff like that. And Bray Wyatt is full of that. So I don't, something is very off here. I don't want to particularly judge Bray Wyatt for it. I think it's more than just, creative decisions. I'm not sure if Bray Wyatt came back thinking maybe he would be like the most important thing on the card and he had the same hype as when he first came out as the Fiend. Like maybe he's just upset about like his placement and how important he feels overall in the grand scheme of the show. But there's some information that I feel like is not in here that doesn't make me want to give a full left or right opinion quite yet,
Mm,
just
yeah.
because. But can I say that I'm bothered that he's not going to be on the card? No, I forget that he's on the show constantly because
Mm,
I don't care for Uncle Howdy, and I don't care to see a Seven Up, Sierra Mist, whatever, glow in the dark match. Like to be honest, that killed it for me. Whatever the fuck I saw on the Royal Rumble, that killed everything else I had going for Bray Wyatt. So man, I don't want. I don't actually don't have a full on opinion here. I just feel like I want to wait till we get more information and then pass my judgment on it. Because like I don't think Bray. I feel like there's a good reason why Bray would pull
yeah.
out of the biggest show of the year. Like that's a big ass paycheck. You don't just pull out of that for no reason. Even if my storyline was ass, I would still like pull it together to get that paycheck. Then did. So to me, that's just funky. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But do you have a theory here?
I don't have a theory, and I kind of in agreement. I am in agreement with you. I obviously there hasn't been a lot of information that has been put out about
Sorry.
regarding you're good regarding that was a loud plastic yo, but
Yeah, I'm so
you're
sorry.
good.
This is a really sensitive mic.
um,
I have to mute myself. Go
but
ahead.
um, I don't think that we have enough information regarding the Bray Wyatt situation to have an educated opinion. I feel like his return has been underwhelming. I think that like the way he came back, Extreme Rules was absolute gold. That entrance, that I feel like his return was one of the best, you know, WWE comebacks that we've ever seen, just off of the entrance, just the thought and the attention to detail. Um, I think that he is one of the most creative minds in the history of the business. And there is a possibility that, he came back with a certain vision and it didn't work. But, I want to see more information come out. There's been rumors and reports circulating about, him wanting to work with Brock, and Brock was like, absolutely not. And that may be a part of it, that may not. But, I feel like there definitely needs to be a little bit more time before we pass judgment on what's going on, because I feel like there is more to the story than what is being released. So I hope, I hope that he is okay mentally, physically. I hope that he's in good health. But I do think that we need a little bit more information before we jump the gun and say that Bray is this and Bray is that, or Bray is going here, or Bray is going here. So we'll see what happens. I just better not hear no Bray Wyatt to AEW room. I swear
I'm over
on
it.
Jesus, Mary,
I'm
and
so
Joseph.
over it.
I'm so
But I'm
over
pretty
that.
sure
I'm so over it.
people are
But
probably already formulating this house of black shit that he's gonna be part. I just feel like that's all that I could see him doing. But
yeah,
I don't want to even see him in AEW. Like
I
I want him
do.
to just do something. Can he complete a quest? That's all I want from him. I feel like he. No, I feel like we
Not a
get these long-winded
quest.
promos,
Not
and
a
he never
quest.
like he never fulfills anything he said he's gonna do. That's the part that pisses me off. Can you fulfill one thing in WWE before you jump ships? Just one thing. Because can you look back and tell me there's one thing that Bray Wyatt truly accomplished? Because he'd be losing everything, losing, and it sucks because like he's such a dope character. Like he's so interesting, and the
He
fans
is.
want to be interested in him. And every time they come up with a project, it's so interesting. It looks great on paper, it looks good on the presentation, the production is wonderful, the words that's coming out of his mouth don't make much sense to me, but it sounds cool,
Right.
and then when it comes down to like the final match,
And it's just
like,
like
so
that.
I don't know who to blame here. Is it really him? Or is it creative? Because it's like, why is it always bad for you?
Mm.
Why? So I don't know. I need more information, but I don't know who to point a finger at. I just want answers, and I actually do want to see him do good somewhere. That's all I gotta say.
I think we're gonna end that segment on that note, but we want to hear y'all opinions. Why do y'all think Bray Wyatt is out of the WrestleMania plans? I don't know. I don't have a theory. Mo don't have a theory. We all just waiting for more information. But on that note, we're gonna move on. So last Friday, WWE announced, I believe its first inductee into this year's Hall of Fame class, Rey Mysterio. Widely regarded as the greatest mass superstar of all time, the former world champion is now taking his rightful place, and inducting him is the godfather of Dominic Mysterio, Conan. So I wanted to know, how did you feel about Rey Mysterio being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and how do you feel about Conan inducting him?
Honestly, I'm proud of him.
Mm,
I feel like it should have happened a lot sooner, but I didn't see this one coming for some weird reason. I don't know why I thought about so many other names before Ray, even though he was like right in front of my face. But um, I'm expecting a really emotional speech to come out of this. Um, I think that it's sad because I feel like when you think about people's Mount Rushmores, we kind of skip over Rey Mysterio, and I feel like he's like such an underrated act in what he's given to us as fans in the WWE. You know what I mean? And I know like a big reason why he does keep going and doing all this is because he has Eddie in his heart. So I'm
mm.
expecting that to be entailed into his speech. Like I'm expecting to cry, bitch. I'm expecting to cry. But as far as the choice, I'm a little surprised of the choice for some reason. You know, I understand you said that's the godfather of him.
Yeah, Conan is Dominic's godfather, I
I
believe.
actually didn't know that piece of information, so I don't really know how to feel about that. For some reason, like I kind of, well, you can't induct someone if you weren't already inducted, right? Like you can't have someone like Batista go in and induct. No, okay, yeah, no. I'm trying to think of another name that I would have went with, and it's not like coming to mind. Who else would I would have? No, not even Cena. I'm trying to think. Would have been another good name to induct Ray. Because when I think about Ray, I think of like, yeah, I think of Eddie, but I think of him as like a standalone act. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he got himself over. Like I
Yeah.
can't think of like, oh, that was the match that really like got him over. Like I feel like he got himself over. Like that's the coolest thing about Rey Mysterio. Like he defies what you would want in a wrestler because he's so small in his stature, but he's so impressive and like he's just like a standout guy who didn't need like a stable or a manager or anyone else to like give him a rub. He was just cool. Like he was just like kids looked up to him, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just awesome. Damn, I don't know who would be a better person then if not him. Did you have another name in mind that you would like
Man,
have induct Ray?
the only person that I would have other than Ray, other than Conan and Duck Ray, was probably Eddie. Obviously, I mean, like
That's what I'm saying.
that's the
Who
only
else do you
person.
have?
I can't think of anybody. I can't think of anybody else, to be completely
Like even like
honest.
a legend, I can't even
Yeah,
think of. Like that's crazy that like he's so great on his own and he's so legendary that no one kind of I don't feel like they're even good enough. Wait, did you
right.
have another did you have a
Possibly,
thought?
maybe because of their rivalry in WCW, Chris Jericho. But
Oh, that would have been great, but
that
you
would have
can't
been
do
great.
that.
But I don't think they're going to be able to do that. But as
Damn.
far as
Damn,
I
that would have
think
been perfect. I'm
that would
actually
have
mad they can't do that.
that would be great. I think that would be sick as sick. But I I think we didn't expect it because we kept hearing the name Batista, right? Like we kept
Yeah.
hearing Batista, it's in Hollywood. He was supposed to go in Tampa, so he's going to come in now. So when like everybody thought of the Hall of Fame and thought of LA, everybody just thought, well, Batista. They kept this under wraps. And I remember I put that in the group chat when everything kind of first started popping off. They really kept this under wraps, and kudos to WWE for keeping something like this under wraps in a world where everything gets leaked, because I did not expect this. This was very much left field. But man, when it
And he's
comes
been
to
on TV all
yeah,
year.
he's
Like
been
how
on
did we
TV
not
all
see
year.
that?
And then when I found out, when I realized that he was going to be in the Hall of Fame, I was like, wait a minute, him and Dominic are probably going to have that match at Mania, so this would be perfect. This would be a perfect
Word.
Rey Mysterio last match, because Jericho's in AEW, Dean Malenko's a coach in AEW. Like, unfortunately, Eddie passed away. I feel like that would have been like the only other match that could have been like his best retirement match. And like he's only had really like two goals since coming back, and that's being tagging along with his son and then facing his son. So
Anyone
him and
in
his
Mexico could
huh
like induct him? I know it sounds dumb, but like he's like a
Juventud,
god over there. Like you know what I'm
Juventud
saying?
Guerrera, Juventud. But I think Conan is probably the best option, because I think that he works with AAA. So
Um,
that may be the best way to go about it.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like Rey Mysterio really is the greatest like masked superstar ever. And it's kind of crazy to think about it like
Period.
that, like without a shadow of a doubt. Like we can talk about his career in matches from ECW to WCW, like being just the heart and soul of that cruiserweight division, to coming to WWE and being probably one of the biggest main roster draws that we've seen in the past 20 years. Like when I think of big names in WWE since 2002, I think of John Cena, I think of Randy Orton, I think of Roman Reigns, I think Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio has been like not only the guy that has been a consistent draw, but the guy that WWE can turn to make anything work. He's had one
That's
of
a
the most,
fact.
going back to 2K, when they had that whole 2K debacle in 2K19 or 2K18, who was the next cover star? Rey Mysterio. Why? Because everyone loves Rey Mysterio.
It's a safe. This is he's like such a safe zone. You know what I'm
He's the
saying? Who
safest
will be
person.
mad at Ray?
Right. Everybody loves Rey. Nobody has ever had anything bad to say about Rey Mysterio.
Nope.
Um, Obviously, the stuff that he's been able to accomplish out of this world. And when we talk about the most influential wrestlers in the world, Rey Mysterio belongs up there, because you turn on any wrestling program now, you're going to see some variation of a 619. You're going to see some type of Hurricanrana. You're going to see some type of lucha libre move that was done by Rey Mysterio, and the wrestler who was doing it probably saw Rey Mysterio doing it, which influenced him to do it in the first place.
Yeah,
So,
like us American fans, like never seen a wrestler wrestle in a match. So any casual that like turns on the TV and sees like the modern day guys, they're just like, oh yeah, like that's like a Rey Mysterio guy, right? And it's just like it's crazy. Like he really brought us lucha wrestling. No one was thinking about lucha wrestling until this little 5'5", 5'3". I don't know how tall he is. Man just came in doing all these flips and tricks that we never saw, but made it work because he was keeping up with the big dudes, bro. Like how you fight the Big Show
right,
and
Big
make it look
Show,
good?
Mark Henry, Batista, like, and that's another thing too, was it was, and I have to give credit to Vince McMahon. I don't think he kept a lot of guys that were smaller in height around a lot, because he knew that all he needed was one, and the one was Rey Mysterio, because he was the
I always
perfect
thought that too.
he was the perfect foil to any big guy. Like, even down to even when he wasn't necessarily facing the biggest of guys, you always cheered for him because his small stature in his mind, in the mind of the consumer, made him the underdog. Think about WrestleMania 22. He had to go up against Randy Orton and Kurt Angle. He was the
Yeah.
underdog, even though he
Hmm.
was in the ring with two guys that he's had more wrestling experience than. He's had more wrestling experience than Angle at the time and Orton at the time. But he was still considered the
Yeah.
underdog because of his stature, his size, and the way that he presented himself. But like, man, like, I'm just really, really happy that Ray is getting his induction into the Hall of Fame. It's well deserved. It's well overdue. Like, we're gonna say something. Go, go, go,
No, I just like was thinking about the whole Eddie and Benoit situation and
go.
how crazy it was. Like Ray has experienced a lot. Like, not everyone like tuned into like, his documentary or whatnot, but still, just like it's crazy how much this man has went through, but like he still holds wrestling like near and dear to his heart. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he lost Eddie and he was really close to Benoit, and he lost him. And a lot of people just given up at that point. Like, bro, I just lost two homies in like 2 years. Like, how do I keep going on?
And
And
one
then
of
he
them is your
kept going
best
on.
friend.
Yes, like
Like,
that's two homies. And like he wrestles with their spirit in his heart. And then later on, I mean, we all heard about that one big tragedy he had where like he was wrestling someone, they died in the ring or whatnot.
yeah.
And like he still keeps going with like, this like with this in his heart, not just for him, but he's representing Mexico, he's representing like his friends that are no longer here or whatnot. He's passing that on, inspiring Dominic. Like it's such a beautiful thing. Like he's such a dope ass person. He's just someone that you would love to get to know. And I don't know, I'm just daydreaming over here about like how important his speech is when we're gonna hear it. Like I want to know what's gonna come out of his mouth. Like I
Right.
want to know like why did he choose for this to be his final chapter? You know what I mean? And what kept him like truly going?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's just fascinating to me. His whole story arc is just like fascinating to me, man. He That's crazy. He's so unproblematic. He really is. I'm
Literally
sorry. I
has
just
not
love him.
has one complaint on his name ever in any
No.
locker room. None.
Oh, wow.
None. And that's like
You know how
that's
hard
that.
that is?
Yeah, because everybody dislikes somebody. Like, but anyway, man, I could we could sit here and talk about this all day. But let us know how you feel about the induction of Rey Mysterio into the WWE Hall of Fame. But that's not the only international star going in, because this past week it was also announced that the Great Muda will also be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. The former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. Wanted to know your impressions on the Great Muta being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. Are you surprised? Because he hasn't had the most extensive WWE resume.
Yeah, no, to be honest. Um yeah, no, I'm very surprised. Especially didn't wasn't he just in AEW doing a few matches and stuff?
He did an AEW appearance. He did the what you call it. He did
Did he
the
go to Japan? He was
yeah,
in Japan, right?
he did the pro
He's been
wrestling Noah
everywhere.
match against Shinsuke Nakamura. Um, so yeah, those are just a couple things.
No, it's just interesting to me because I feel like if Vince was like still running everything, this wouldn't have been a possibility to cross anyone's mind. But we all know Triple H like is very diverse and he respects and loves working with different promotions and stuff like that. So it makes you think like, damn, this is what they're doing now this year. It could be anybody next year
Hmm.
from across any promotion, just because he has good rapport with everyone. So, like, I mean, I'm not too keen and knowledgeable on all the Great Muda's work. I obviously know that he is like up there as far as like, great wrestlers. But I just think that just the simple fact that he was there very briefly and he was chosen over the names that we thought were going to be chosen, and he's like technically in my head an outsider.
Hmm.
That's very interesting. It just to me just pinpoints that is like another Triple H change because I don't think we would have gotten that, with Vince. But what do you
Absolutely.
think?
I agree with you 100%. And the Great Muta has had a legendary resume. Not to also forgot to mention, he is also a former winner, I think the 1995 winner of the G1 Climax. And so he's had one of the most extensive wrestling resumes outside of WWE of any non WWE performer. He's truly up there. He's truly one of the greats. He's truly one of the GOATs. And to see him get his rightful place into the WWE Hall of Fame, like you said, very, very indicative of Triple H's agenda of blending or bringing together all corners of the globe. And I think that moving forward, this is just an interesting theory. Moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
I think the Hall of Fame is going to be WWE's Forbidden Door. It's going to be the way that they can get guys from multiple promotions involved and interfacing with WWE. Because, like we said, Conan is going to be inducting Rey Mysterio, right? Conan works for AAA last time I checked, or I think he's like loosely affiliated with them. The Great Muta obviously has a very, very storied history in pro wrestling, Noah, and in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And now that begs the question, who's next? I can see a guy like Christopher Daniels getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. I can see a Samoa Joe. I can see a Frankie Kazarian. I can see all these guys that were in other promotions outside of WWE who have had extensive resumes, just not a lot of WWE title runs. You know what I'm saying? So, but I can
It's a
see
dumb
that.
question, but has Chris Jericho been inducted? No, right?
He has not
No.
been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, but
That'd be crazy
I think
if they did.
he is. I feel like, ooh, if WrestleMania ever goes to Canada, he needs to be number one as far as being. If any WrestleMania anywhere, Chris Jericho should be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. But I know in particular, I would love to see a WrestleMania at in Toronto, and they induct Chris Jericho. I think that that would be very, very fitting.
But who inducts Chris Jericho is the question.
Who inducts Chris Jericho? There's two people that come to mind.
Wait, Bret Hart?
Nah, not Bret.
T-
Triple H is
Okay.
one.
Okay.
There was a second person that I had in mind. There's a second person that I had in mind, and I lost the name.
I'm sorry.
I actually have multiple people. Triple H. I can see Rey Mysterio. I can
Okay.
see Triple H. I can see Rey Mysterio. I can see Dean Malenko. I can see John Cena.
That'd be
I
fun.
can see Edge.
Ooh, The Rock would be great.
The Rock would be great as well. But I can see multiple people inducting him. But we're not gonna get too far off of the topic.
Sorry.
But yeah, I'm glad that Great Muta is getting inducted. Let us know how you guys feel about Great Muta getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And do you believe that more wrestlers outside of WWE will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? So, moving on into some an interesting headline that actually came out after last week's show, and that is that WWE is exploring legal gambling in Colorado and Michigan. They are currently trying to get the Chicago, Colorado, and Michigan legislators on board so that people can gamble on scripted matches. According to CNBC, WWE is currently working with EY, commonly known as Ernest and Young, to secure match results so they won't leak to the public. Some interesting notes that CNBC also reported that WWE creative executives don't plan to inform wrestlers who will win until hours before a match. WWE aims to have major sports betting companies offer bets on high profile matches. Also, for context, people bet on the Golden Globes, people bet on the Emmys, people bet on things that kind of have winners that are kind of predetermined before the time or date of the event. So,
That's
with
so
all that in
weird.
mind, it is very weird. But with all that in mind, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on WWE getting into the gambling world with all these things considered?
Wow, like, I didn't even know that would. I would never have thought about that concept a day in my life. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I think it's weird to us because like we're WWE marks and we know the formula by now.
Mm-hmm.
So to them, it's like, why would you gamble on something that's so obvious?
Right.
Like, who's the audience that you're going for?
Right.
So they're going towards outsiders, not us. They're going towards outsiders
I guess you
for
could say
them
they're
to
going towards
gamble.
outsiders. Yeah.
Because that makes more sense because
Right.
they wouldn't know. We know before we look. We know when we look at the card who's gonna win.
Mhm.
That's why I find it weird.
Right. Oh yeah.
My brain can't wrap around that. So it's just like if you're trying to like really make money off of it, yeah, if you're going towards outsiders that are just chiming in because they're like, oh, WWE's hopping in on this, that makes sense to me. Okay, like it's a weird concept, but I'm like, all right, I could kind of see like the business vision of it, but like towards us, like again, it's
That's
a
an easy
little,
way to make
it's
a million.
silly. That's what I'm trying to say. I'll quit my job right now.
Right.
You feel me? What do you think?
I think that it's great. I think that it continues to solidify WWE as an entertainment name as well as a sports name, because this is a norm in the entertainment world. If people are currently gambling on the Golden Globes and other award shows, then they should be able to gamble for WWE matches. I mean, predetermined or not, I feel like this integrates WWE into the broader spectrum of entertainment,
Right.
gets them into a marketplace that they probably traditionally haven't been. At first, it was just weird though, because I'm thinking I've always been seeing these, things for DraftKings, and like DraftKings, and obviously AEW has a sponsorship or a partnership with them. WWE, they do that stuff too. So I figured that like it's already happening, but I guess it's not in some states, or I guess it's not in some places, but we'll see what happens. But I'm actually
Right.
really, really excited about this. I think that this is less about the money that people can win, and it's more about the concept of WWE being seen as as a legitimate entertainment and sports commodity that can stand alongside other entertainment and sports commodities. Because when you think of basketball, when you think of football, when you think of hockey, it's like those are the real sports. When you think of the Golden Globes and the Grammys and the VMAs, it's like, oh, that's real entertainment. But when you think of wrestling, it's just considered just wrestling. But I feel
It's
like
like
this,
the E gets bigger on the WW, like
right,
E, like a giant ass capital E
big
as the
old
years
E,
goes on.
just legitimate
Yeah.
E,
Yeah.
right. But I think that this is a move to help solidify them, stand next to their competitors, if you will. So I think this is a good move. I think this is nice. I'm
It's
gonna.
interesting.
It is very, very interesting. I would be interested in possibly gambling, because listen, that'd be a good way to make a nice couple $1,000,000. All right.
Word, word.
Like, get up out of here and get me a house. But anywho, want to know your opinions on this, as far as your thoughts on WWE getting into legalized gambling in Colorado, Michigan, and I believe Iowa is another one of those states. Now, I did want to circle back to the comments that John Cena made regarding Vince McMahon. We talked about it earlier in the show. Wasn't even in the notes, but I'm like, you know what? Let's talk about it, because it has been a hot topic. So in a recent interview with the Associated Press, um, he was talking about how he found it a little bit difficult to to come to terms with how he felt about his feelings for Vince McMahon. And this is a direct quote from the interview. He says, everybody, and I think that they were asking him about Vince retiring from the company amid the sexual allegation, sexual assault allegations, and he said, and this is a direct quote: "Everyone has the right to have their perspective. I have the right to have mine. When you love somebody, you take them as imperfectly perfect as they are. We all make mistakes. We all have poor decisions. Lord knows I've made my collection of poor choices. That doesn't mean I'm not going to love somebody. There's no way I can go on record and say I don't love Vince McMahon." Your thoughts on that quote?
I don't. That put John in some hot water because obviously what Vince did was not just a mistake; it was much bigger than a
Mm-hmm.
mistake. That's not his only mistake. He has like literally a stack. Like I could. A documentary wouldn't even cover. It would have to be a series to go through all this Vince McMahon's
It's about this
vile
much.
mistakes.
It's about this
It,
much mistakes, but keep going.
you might need more than that.
Right.
Like, it's crazy. However, I wasn't surprised when I looked at the quote, and I don't think anyone should be. Because at the end of the day, and as I stated previously, the whole reason why we know who John Cena is because of Vince. Like, it's very hard if you're in John's shoes to feel like I should slander this man who gave me everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything. Like he was at the top of the food chain for many years, and he still is. He came back and he has a feud with Austin Theory, and he still makes noise. Like everyone and their mama knows who John Cena is thanks to this man. He's able to expand and do all he wants to do because of Vince McMahon. And I feel like the relationship, like hell, Vince McMahon said happy birthday to John Cena before Shane McMahon. Okay, like
Mm-hmm.
y'all seen that tweet thread where he said happy birthday to his lovely daughter, fucking Stephanie McMahon and John Cena, but like Shane gets like crumbs. Like he treats, in my personal opinion, John like the son that he always wanted.
Mm.
So I feel like that's just the relationship they have. It's very much like father and son.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like he is going to look at Vince in a different light. Even though I strongly disagree with everything that Vince has, I'm not mad at Cena for having this type of take because when you love like a family member, and even if they are an entire fuck up, it's kind of like, blood is in your head, like blood is thicker than water, so you're going to be able to not necessarily rationalize everything that they did, but it's going to be hard for you to like look at them the way an outsider is going to look at them.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when
Yeah.
you're like in a relationship and you love somebody. You know what I mean? That person could have fucked up dozens of times, and like your friends are like, well, why don't you leave? But it's just like that's your person. To him, that's his father at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like Vince could die right now and a whole bunch of other shit could blow up, and I promise you, like John would still go on record and say nothing but good things about Vince.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like his loyalty is to him till the end of the day. So I'm personally not mad at John. I expect nothing less. Personally, me, like I said, if someone asked me, I would have just like refrained from answering the question at all because you plead the fifth to it. Then I mean, like it's above me. Like whatever you think, you think. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like you can't be wrong there. But I understand why he just feels the need to be like, all right, I don't agree with what he did, but he messed up, and all we could do is move forward. And I love this man. That's just my take. But what was your reaction when you read this quote?
First of all, I'm glad that John Cena didn't try to pull the, oh, he didn't do it. Oh, that's not him.
Oh my god.
I'm so glad that he didn't do that. And I'm so glad that he admitted that, like, okay, he messed up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that that's a big step to make, even when you're talking about somebody that you love.
Yeah.
Um, and so there's that. I think that what he said in that quote is a very, very, that quote resonates with me because I feel like I can speak for a lot of people, as much as we don't like to admit it, there are people in our lives who we love who have done some pretty bad things. And so
Yeah.
because of that, we have to constantly reconcile our feelings with them in context, of the reality that they may or may not have done something that was heinous and disgusting and
Yeah.
horrible. And
Yeah.
so I think what John Cena said was a very, very relatable thing. I'm glad that he has been able to just be like, listen, this is just how I feel. I love him. I'm not excusing what he did though. And I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
very, very, very big thing. And but like from an answer perspective, that's the most John Cena answer you're going to get. That's probably the best answer that you probably could have gotten from anyone in WWE related to or tied to Vince McMahon in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most PR friendly answer. It doesn't
That answer looked like his tweets.
right. It does. It really does. Mad motivation. I'm like, yeah, John. Yeah. Thing feels like a Ford F-150 commercial, but nah. Like I think John gave the best answer, and I think that even though we know what Vince McMahon has been accused of, it's one of those things where like there's only but so much that I can talk about it because like obviously the people that love him and that know him are going to have a very, very different view than we do because
Mm-hmm.
they know him more intimately than we do. And I think that this quote is kind of proof on that. And so, you know, I think John Cena gave the right answer. I think he gave the right take. He didn't really excuse him for any wrongdoings, but he said, I can't sit up here and say that I don't love this man, and rightfully so. Like you said, his loyalty, John Cena's loyalty is to Vince McMahon. Without Vince McMahon, we don't get the John Cena in WWE, in the world of entertainment and sports. We just don't. So I think John Cena gave the right answer, not just the politically correct answer, but the right answer, the answer that he knew would kind of resonate with us. And I think that he did a really, really good job. That interview, by the way, is with the Associated Press. So if y'all want to know full context, be sure to look that up and get a dose of that. So yeah, but I think that concludes this week's show. But thank you guys so much for tuning in and tapping in with us. Shameless plug. Make sure y'all get y'all Angie merch. It's on sale now. This junk is tough. I got it last night.
It really is.
I love it. So be sure to get y'all Angie merch. Also, WrestleMania Spaces night 1 and night 2. Mo's gonna be hosting both of them. So be sure y'all tune in for that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in and tapping in with us, and we'll see y'all next week.